SuperTalk Mississippi Media production. You're listening to Thunder and Lightning on SuperTalk Mississippi, covering Mississippi State sports like nobody else. With SportsTalk Mississippi's Brian Hadad and Robbie Faulk of On3 Sports. Now get ready for Thunder and Lightning.
This is Thunder and Lightning here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Brian Hadad and Robbie Faulk here with you on a Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us here at SuperTalk.fm or wherever it is that you get podcasts from. We appreciate you guys out there, our great listeners, especially our servicemen and women out there taking care of us. I want to thank our sponsors over at Strange Brew Coffee House and Churn and Spoon Ice Cream. Start your day the right way with a trip to the drive-thru over at Strange Brew Coffee House here in Starkville or at Brupolo over in Tupelo. It'd be a little weird, Robbie, if Brupolo was in Rockport.
It would be a little weird.
I'm wearing Rockports right now.
Really?
Yeah, so there you go. Wherever you are in our great state, you can enjoy Strange Brew Coffee each and every morning. It's just a click away. It's strangebrewcoffeehouse.com. Pip Printing and Signs, reliable service for every business need. If you own a business, if you work in a business, if you know someone who owns a business, if you've ever heard the word business prior to this read, then you know how important printing is in the heartbeat of your business. It is what gets your message to the people. Why not? Why would you want to work with anybody but the best? And that's Pip Printing and Signs. Go check out their website, pipridgeland.com, to get a better idea of the incredible number of services they can offer you. They can get the message that you want sent to your customers out there into the world. Our friend Camden Baker has been doing this for 30 plus years. They know how to take care of businesses. Give him a call today. Tell him you heard about it on Thunder and Lightning at 601-499-5216. When you need printing, call Pip today. College Corner, collegecornerstore.com is the place to find the maroon and white merchandise that you are looking for, and you certainly are looking for it. You need new gear. You need to be wearing the state script, the interlocking, the M over S, the banner M. It's got to go. So take care of that today with a trip to College Corner. 2 locations in the Jackson area, Ridgeland by Fleet Feet, Flow by the Half Shell, or shop online, collegecornerstore.com. Restaurant Tyler, Starkville's flagship restaurant for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. A trip to Restaurant Tyler means you're going to get the best meal in town. It's a football weekend here in Starkville. Should be a great time to head over to Restaurant Tyler. I assume the line will be long on Sunday morning as people want to get a table for the best brunch in the city of Starkville. You need to join them there. If you haven't made plans already, make plans this weekend to go to Restaurant Tyler. Priority One Bank, 16 locations throughout central Mississippi here to serve you. Let PriorityOneBank.com be your guide. Let them show you where those locations are. If you live in central Mississippi, there's one near you. But more importantly, they're going to show you how they're going to help you invest, how they're going to help you manage your money, how to help you build for the future. Now more than ever, we need to be able to talk to people about our money. We don't want to be on hold. Nobody has time for that. Nobody has time to wait around and get questions answered. You need it done immediately. Priority One Bank gives you that service that you're looking for so you can find out the answers and move on with your day. Let Priority One Bank make you their priority. Robbie Faulk, I said I had a surprise for you. You may know the answer to this already. I hope that you don't, because you are going to laugh. Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
All right. So I'm looking. We're going to talk about Toledo a little bit today, looking at their depth chart. Do you know who their starting right cornerback is?
Jadarius Perkins.
It's our guy, Jadarius Perkins. Oh, what a long, strange trip it's been for Mr. Perkins. I will never forget Christmas Day. Was it 2021, I think? I don't remember.
I don't even remember when that was.
That might have been with Moorhead, now that I think about it. That might have been like 2019. Oh,
let's find out.
Yeah, we got to know the answer to that. But when I saw his name, I lit up like a little kid. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. This is, I think, his third college. I think.
Just attack him right away.
Just go after him. Just tell him you're going to have to commit to something, and he won't do it.
2021, so that's 2020. Christmas 2020, wasn't it?
Christmas 2020, yeah. So Leach's first year.
Oh, my gosh.
What a saga with that guy.
Well, so, how this business works just behind the scenes for people that don't know. More often than not, we have commitment stories ready when these guys commit. And a good portion of them, if you build relationships with them, they'll give you quotes ahead of time if you'll just hold the story. So I think Paul had a story with him, and we knew that he was going to commit to Mississippi State. He wanted to commit like on his grandmother's birthday. That was like his excuse for putting it off or whatever. But anyway, like I'm doing social media, so I have to be ready for that, to put out a graphic or the story or whatever. Paul and I are sitting there on Christmas Day. I'm at my in-laws' house. Like we just got done opening presents on Christmas Day, and I'm having to sit there with my laptop in front of my face. And I sat there, I kid you not, for 2 hours waiting on this kid to announce his commitment. And turns out, I think I'm just going to wait and do it for my grandmother's birthday or whatever. No, he ended up going to Missouri or some. Was it Missouri the place he went to?
No, he went to Florida and then Missouri, or is it the other way around?
No, other way. I think it was.
So he went to Missouri and then
signed
Florida.
He signed with Missouri. Didn't make it through the spring. Then he went to Florida. Then he transferred from Florida to Toledo, I think. And was a junior college guy before that.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Let me just read through this here. All right. So, bunch of offers. On December 5th, he got a crystal ball. We're going off 24/7 because On3 wasn't around, right? Crystal ball that he's going to commit to Mississippi State by somebody named Kevin Wade. I don't even know who that is. On December 25th, the day he's supposed to commit, he doesn't commit. On December 30th, a bunch of people, including Paul Jones, give him the crystal ball to Oregon. A month later,
because we just thought that's where it was going to go.
Right. A month later, he's Paul a couple crystal balls, and Paul predicts him to go to Missouri. He commits and signs with Missouri. Listen to this now. On February 3rd, 2021, he signs with Missouri, right? April 29th, 2021. Not 3 months later, he's in the transfer portal. So he went through spring and hit the portal, transfers to Florida, and enrolls on June 28th, 2021. 2 years later, September 8th, 2023, enters the transfer portal again, and then commits to Toledo, where he currently is. He got to play at Davis Wade after all, though. After all this time, he finally made it. He's here. So.
Yeah. I mean, recruiting is crazy, man, and the transfer portal has made this thing even crazier. I mean, you'll see some stuff that you never thought you'd ever see before.
When I saw that name, Robbie, my eyes just lit. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
You're like, how is he still playing? Well, I mean, it's just been 3 years, I guess.
You think a JUCO guy might be done after 2 seasons, but I guess everybody got an extra year, so.
And they're wanting to now do 5 years for everybody.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to stop. Like
I agree. Yeah, it's about to happen. So, what I wanted to talk about before I went down the Jadarius Perkins rabbit hole.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, my eye was twitching. You mentioned his name.
That Christmas, I remember because obviously I don't cover recruiting the way that you and Paul and others do, and. So, but I keep up. I knew that he was supposed to commit on Christmas Day, and I knew that it was supposed to be Mississippi State. So yeah, like mid-afternoon, we're done with Christmas lunch and all that, and I'm just sitting on the couch, and I pull up the laptop, and I'm just like, I guess we'll wait on this guy. And then finally, when I saw, I think it was like Paul Jones retweeted, like, I'm sorry to everyone. And you mentioned right? You having to sit there. Think about State's coaches, right? They have to be ready too. They got to be, working on Christmas Day.
And they're probably on the phone with him or trying to get in touch with him and trying to talk him into committing.
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Man, at that when he decided he wasn't going to commit, then that's when I kind of washed my hands. I was just like, I don't care if this guy comes to State or not. I don't think he needs to be here. He's obviously not got the mental toughness to do this.
Yeah, it seems to be backed up by the fact that he's transferred now 3 times.
3 times. 3 times.
3 different schools.
So,
yeah. Well, best of luck to him. I wish him nothing but success beyond football.
I would set
don't wish
the odds
any
of him
ill will.
having a pick 6 in this game pretty high, though.
Yeah. He's going to have a huge day. There's no doubt about it.
Good for him.
We're going to be sitting here going, yeah, let's attack him right away. You're going to start attacking him. He's going to have like 3 interceptions, 16 tackles.
Nobody on this – Rod Gibson would know him. Rod would know who.
Oh, yeah. Rod was probably more involved with him than anybody, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Gosh.
Rod's like State's JUCO guy, you know.
Yeah, that's hilarious. What I wanted to talk about before we got into all that was Blake Shapen. And, I was asked this yesterday on SportsTalk Mississippi, so now I'm going to ask you. We're only 2 games into his career here at Mississippi State. If I made you grade him through 2 games, what would you give him?
I think even last week, I think he was okay. I mean, I would say probably like a B+. He's a B+
spot
player.
For him. Yeah.
It's a B+ player. No, even like I said, even last week, I didn't think he was terrible. He had the play where he probably should have just ate that sack or throw it out of bounds quicker. But that's probably one of the only plays that I look back at, and I'm just really frustrated with him. But I had 2 passes that should have been caught or should have not been pass interference. He had the deep ball to Seydou Traoré, who I thought should have caught that pass. That's probably a 40-yard gain. Then you have a 50-plus yard gain or whatever it was to Mario Craver called back. He could have very easily had 350 yards passing last week.
Yeah.
So I didn't think, and Levy mentioned the other day talking about the running game that some of their issues it was basically a little bit of everything, but there was some plays where Shapen could have helped out the run game a little bit. Mm-hmm. So maybe the decision-making could be a little better for him. But from a pure passing standpoint, what he's shown with the arm, the accuracy's been pretty good so far. I think he was like 18 of 26 at Arizona State. That's not bad at all. One of those passes was dropped. So I think that he's been solid. I don't really have a ton of complaints about Blake Shapen running this offense.
I would go a step further than you, to be totally honest, and tell you that I would give him an A. I think he's been outstanding for Mississippi State. He's completing 69% of his passes.
Nice.
5 touchdowns to no interceptions. Wasn't able to do much in the running game last week, but I don't put much of that on him. He just didn't have a lot of time to throw. The line just didn't give him a lot of chances there. But he ran the ball well, has definitely shown a lot of toughness, a lot of grit like that. I've been very, very impressed with Shapen thus far. To me, he's been the bright spot of this team, he and Coleman. Those guys are kind of one, sort of symbiotic relationship. What Coleman and Mosley have been able to do thus far comes through Shapen. And for a guy, we think about the transfer portal and some of the quarterbacks that were available and some of the quarterbacks Mississippi State fans were very interested in. I think Shapen has really shown why Jeff Lebby wanted him here in Starkville. I think he's been outstanding for Mississippi State, and I think he's going to continue to be so. And now, will the other pieces around him work in conjunction with that and put Mississippi State in a position where they can win more games? I don't know the answer to that question, but for me, Shapen's been really, really good. Against a Toledo side, this is a team that we just don't know a whole ton about, Robbie. I mean, they've played UMass and Duquesne. They're 2-0 in the season, as you would expect.
I didn't know Duquesne still had a program.
Still kicking. Don't forget they once defeated Mississippi State in an Orange Bowl back in the 30s.
They did. They were kind of like the Sewanee. They were kind of like
they were the Sewanee of the North.
Sewanee is probably like sitting back saying, what in God's name happened? So them in Tulane.
Here we go. Let's just change lanes here for a second.
That's fine.
You're right. Sewanee, but at the same time, Sewanee is such a small school. Eventually it wouldn't have worked, right? Tulane and Georgia Tech must kick themselves daily. Like if there's somebody who's like 70 or 80 who was like a young person working at Tulane back in the day, they must just be like, we were stupid. We were stupid. We could be right there especially Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has won a national title in my lifetime. They could have been a power program, but
yeah, they're in Atlanta.
Yeah, but it is what it is. So Tulane's only given up, about 320 yards of game, 334 yards. There's the number. A game of total offense. They've only got 352 yards per game. So they have a lot of points. They're averaging 44 points a game in this early part of the season, but they're not moving the ball a whole ton. So I'm interested to see how Mississippi State looks against that, because Mississippi State they gave up a bunch of yards, like almost 300 yards to Eastern Kentucky. We all saw what happened last week as far as on the ground. Toledo, a couple of games in, is averaging only 125 yards rushing on the ground, 227 in the air. This doesn't appear to be a very good offensive football team. I got to think you're going to see some improvement this week from the defense, just in terms of they're playing an opponent they can definitely outmatch.
Yeah, I see a lot of people comparing, this, like, that they're taking last year's success that Toledo had and matching it up with this year, and it's not the same Toledo team from last year. That team had a really good quarterback. It's a different looking group out there. And Jason Candle's been there for a while, and I don't think things have changed a whole lot schematically, but the players have, and the players matter, and they don't have the same kind of players that they did a season ago. So yeah, I'm interested to see what they come out, their strategy is against Mississippi State, and how Mississippi State combats that and what they look like this week. I'm also interested to see who's back for the Bulldogs on the defensive line. They desperately need some deep defensive line depth. Deontay Anderson, Calvin Dinkins, one of those guys is back. I think that's going to make a difference. But even without it, I just can't stop thinking about the fact Mississippi State has a more talented team than they do. And you should, even with the issues you've had on the defensive line, you should still have some success up front. You should still be winning battles up there against their offensive line.
Yeah, the numbers, and again, it's so early in the season and they've played nobody. But if you're Toledo, the numbers don't match, right? You see 43 points per game. You think, oh gosh, they must be moving the ball up and down the field. And they aren't. They're only averaging 352 yards per game, but they've scored 12 touchdowns. So I'm trying to find turnovers here. They've picked off a couple of passes. Have they recovered a bunch of fumbles? Turnovers. So now, yeah, they've recovered 2 fumbles. So they forced 4 turnovers through. It's not so many that you would think these numbers don't add up. So either they're just really good at, maybe their special teams are good. I don't know. Not seeing that either on the numbers here. So I just expect, the line on this game is 11.5. On SportsTalk Mississippi on Tuesday, we made that our fishing line of the week. This really feels a lot like the Eastern Kentucky thing. And I know State fans are gonna look at that, and I'll be honest with you, Ole Miss fans will too, and they'll be like, "Well, State was so terrible last week," as if these two things are similar. They're not. You played a Power 4 team on the road last week. You're playing a Group of 6 team at home this week, a mediocre Group of 6 team. So State only being an 11.5-point favorite doesn't make sense. They should easily win this game, probably by 24 plus.
Well, and also what you didn't mention there is it came out 9. State was a 9-point favorite.
Yes, it's moving up, because people are hammering State.
So it started out. At 9. I mean, this is the Vegas has not liked Mississippi State, and they were a little more lenient to them last week because I think it came out at 3.5, and that's almost saying that the two teams are even because you're basically giving the home team a little bit of an advantage there. Right. But Vegas has not been a fan of Mississippi State. To this point, the 2 home games have definitely been, kind of underselling Mississippi State a little bit, but they're going to have to prove it. I mean, you got to go out there against a team that you should be superior to, and you're playing at home. And, in fairness to them, as Jeff Levy mentioned, they've done this before. They've played SEC schools on the road. They've won. They've beaten SEC schools. So they're not going to be shocked by what they see when they get to Starkville. But you still should come out in this ball game and be able to run your offense effectively, get stops on defense, get turnovers, whatever, and have some success in every phase of the game. And if you're continuing to have the same issues this week, then that's problematic for what you got coming up, because the schedule's about to be beefy, to say the least.
Yeah, there's no question about that. So for State, and from just from my perspective for State with Shapen, and getting back to him, I expect him to have another good game this week. I'm very interested to see what he does against these SEC defenses, because I think he's talented, and I think he's going to be okay, but State's line play has not given me a lot of confidence. So it could be a situation where his numbers aren't going to reflect how well he's playing, because I think the accuracy has been there. One thing I've noticed with him, it's only 2 games, I know, but he hasn't had a throw where I just went, what the hell are you doing? He hasn't just thrown one up into coverage. The play with the fumble, obviously there's some of that, but as far as throwing the football, he's just been accurate with it. We've seen the deep ball from him. We've been able to see the short.
The deep ball's accurate.
It's accurate. It's accurate. So I really like what I've seen from Blake Shapen thus far. He's really repaid Jeff Lebby's confidence in him. Ever since Shapen arrived, Lebby has been talking him up to the point where you thought maybe it was, or at least I thought maybe it was a little bit of like, Lebby hears the outside noise about this guy and is like, why did you pick him when you could have gotten so and so or this and that? And it's obvious that Shapen wanted to be here, right? Because at the time he committed, State was very much recruiting Dylan Gabriel. And if Gabriel had just made that decision, hey, I want to follow Jeff Lebby, they would have taken him. So he was probably cool being part of a 2 QB class. That would have been interesting. Would have been like a Spencer Sanders kind of situation, but so be it. He obviously wanted to follow Jeff Lebby, and so far so good, in terms of repaying the confidence there. I've just been impressed. I've been impressed with the guy. I was impressed with him at the spring game. I was impressed with him at media days. I thought he said the right things. And then his first 2 games, I think he's been really good for Mississippi State. I'm hopeful that State can find some improvement in the running game and find some improvement on the defensive side of the ball so that everybody's performance can match their quarterback. So if they can do that, they can win some games this year.
Until proven otherwise, I'm going to trust Jeff Lebby from here on out when it comes to quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I'm not a trust the coaches guy, I promise. I don't just blindly give coaches.
You're a mouthpiece at university, don't forget.
Yeah, apparently so. But with quarterbacks and Jeff Lebby, he has not been wrong yet. Even the guys we talked about before, even the guys that didn't get playing time where he was, they've moved around elsewhere and been able, look at Luke Altmaier who was at Ole Miss. He's a starting quarterback from Illinois, having success. Oklahoma's had several quarterbacks transfer out and are having success. Jackson Arnold, obviously, doing good things. Dylan Gabriel. So the guy knows quarterbacks. He knows what works in his system. And so far, Blake Shapen is proving him right. The offense can certainly be better. There's no question about that. But Blake Shapen has been really good.
Just real quick before we get out of the break here. Should State fans think about Altmaier next year? Is that a possibility?
Would not shock me in the least.
Mm.
I don't know how people would feel about that, but from a pure talent standpoint and what he can do with his arm, he can make every throw. I don't know how. I haven't talked to. I have talked to his family about their experience in Illinois, and they love it up there. I don't know, if he'd be interested in transferring, coming back home. I don't know what Mississippi State's thoughts are, but I do think State probably needs a guy to bridge the gap from Blake Shapen to Michael Van Buren or Chris Parson. I still don't know if they're going to be ready to push those guys into the mix.
I think the bridge exists to get to Camario Taylor in 2026.
I wouldn't discount Van Buren.
Oh, I'm not discounting, but I think that's the guy. I could be wrong. I like what I see with that kid.
Yeah, and from a skill set standpoint, Van Buren is, basically Dylan Gabriel to me.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of similarities there, so I can see what Jeff Levy's looking at there. I think it's going to be tough to keep him out when he starts to really get rolling.
I agree with you. All right, let's move into the rest of the show. That's brought to you by our friends over at the Mississippi Beef Council. We want to remind you that beef, it is what's for dinner. If you're cooking out this weekend, nothing beats the sizzle of beef on the grill. If you're not cooking out and you want to go out for dinner, we have great steakhouses and great burger restaurants all over the state of Mississippi. If you're going to be in Starkville, there are plenty of great options for beef when you're going out to dinner. So take advantage of them, or if you're going to be at home, fire up the grill and throw a steak on there. Everybody will enjoy that. Beef, it's what's for dinner, thanks to our friends at the Mississippi Beef Council. Two Brothers Smoked Meats at the heart of the Cotton District is the place to find the smoked Southern soul food that you are looking for, and you are, in fact, looking for it. It's the place to go when you want something a little bit different and a little bit delicious. And, of course, there's the older brother. Let me tell you about this one, Robbie. So Saturday, while I was out of town, my wife took my mom and my daughters to the older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom loved it. So today, I had to take her somewhere, and she's like, can we get lunch? And I was like, yeah, we can get lunch. She's like, can we go to the older brother? I was like, didn't you just go there? She was like, yeah, but it's so good. So we're eating at the older brother. Now, her birthday is Sunday. She was like, I think we might come here for my birthday. So she wanted to eat there 3 times in a week. And I had to tell her, unfortunately, closed on Sunday. She was like, oh, that's where I wanted to come. I was like, well, we can't do it. So, but she was willing to go 3 times in a week.
From my parents' age to my grandparents, and so like your mother's age too.
Yeah,
they get into a rhythm. They get their places,
just
and
go
that's
there.
where they want to go.
Yeah,
like my dad. I broke the news to my mom and dad that Robert St. John's Enzo's is closing down. Very upset about that.
Yeah,
they are distraught. That was their place in Ridgeland. They went to Enzo's to eat Italian, but apparently Taste is moving in there. Yeah. So
whatever.
There we go.
Anyway, here in Starkville, if you're going to go out, you want something different, you want something awesome, you go to the Two Brothers or you go to the older brother. Both fantastic places to eat, and you got a better than 50% chance of seeing me and or Robbie there at any time. Great products, great service. Every business likes to promise it to you. They deliver it to you at Advantage Business Systems. They've been doing it now for 40. I'm sorry, we're moving up. 50 years. 50. So when you need some sort of piece of technology for your business, you need a new copier, you need a new printer, you need computers, you need laptops, you need to call Advantage Business Systems. And then if you need service, well, guys, the same number is the number you call. You don't have to call a 1-800 number. You don't get to put on hold for 45 minutes. They don't make an appointment for you that might take a week to 10 days. Imagine your copier breaking and you're like, oh, yeah, we'll get it fixed in a week. No good. That's why you talk to Advantage Business Systems. 601-362-9192, or you can visit them online at absms.com. Find out how Advantage Business Systems will help your business do business. Before you're at the game this Saturday, make a trip to Maroon & Co. When you're in Starkville and you need MSU gear, Maroon & Co. is the place to go. You need to check them out because they have stuff you can't find anywhere else. A lot of places, they all have the same selection of polos and T-shirts. Not at Maroon & Co. They've got a different look for everything. So many great items to choose from there. Stuff that, like I said, you can't find anywhere else. They're the only place in town to get the Bulldog Initiative gear that the coaches wear. So if you want to wear that stuff, Maroon & Co. is the stop. Use our promo code Thunder15 to save 15% off any item, regular price. Some exclusions do apply. Before you go to the game this Saturday, make sure you go to Maroon & Co. I don't know, man.
You don't know anything else to talk about?
Well, like, I had somebody stop me today at lunch, and they were like, you think we're going to be all right this weekend? And I understand last weekend was a bad loss. I get that. I really do. But at the same time, I mean, you're playing a middle-of-the-pack G6 team at home. Buddy, I hope it's all right this weekend, because if it's not, we got much, much bigger issues to talk about than that. You know, I feel like State...
I don't think that State is as bad as people...
No,
make them out to be. I mean, I think there's definitely some growing pains here, and that's going to continue, and it's only going to get worse with the schedule that they have. But I don't think that this is a disaster like people think. There's people that are predicting 1-11.
Yeah.
It sucked. Last week sucked. Don't get me wrong, but the encouraging thing I saw was the fact that they came back in the second half. They had a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it kind of sucked that your defense couldn't come up with the biggest stop that it needed, but had they just gotten beaten 52-3 in that game, and we saw what we did against Texas A&M last year, that would have been really concerning for me. But they made adjustments at halftime. They got back on their horse. They went to work. They stayed in the fight. That's what you got to have with this team. It's got to be a constant, effort thing for them. They got to continue to show that effort. And I think they'll be okay. I think they're going to be okay this week. We might come in on Sunday and we might blast them and say they will go 1-11. I don't know. But going into the game, I just don't have that anxiety that some people do going into this week.
I've got a topic we're going to talk about next week, but just to kind of give an idea, State fans are just fragile right now.
Yeah.
Just nothing good has happened for Mississippi State football since
Mississippi State sports.
Well,
it's been a while since
men's
there's
basketball
been something...
has been good, and you've had some.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's been last March.
Yeah,
it's been a long time since there's been something really exciting.
For football, you're talking about the Egg Bowl in 2022. The bowl game was nice, but it was really ugly, and the shadow of Mike Leach was still lingering over, right? The last time Mississippi State football fans were just truly joyful was after the Egg Bowl in 2022. And that is a long time.
And even after that, remember the whole conversation was Zach Arnett saved State in that game because the offense was so bad.
Oh, yeah. So I think he had the joy of the win, but there were some people like, gosh, this offense, is it ever going to, work? Yeah, people talking about, can we move on from Will Rogers? There was all that going on, but at least there was the euphoria and the excitement of the win. Mississippi State fans, they desperately needed that win last weekend, and they didn't get it. And that's another thing. When's the last time State had a big upset? I know they've had some upset wins here and there, but 2017, is that right? When they beat LSU here? And that ended up
2020 LSU.
2020 LSU, but I guess it's when's the last time
Auburn on the road in 21?
This is what I'm trying to say is when Ole Miss beat Alabama in 14 and 15, right? Those upsets held up. Alabama played in the college football playoff in 14. They won the national title in 15, right? State beats LSU in 2017, and that team ends up losing 4 games. State beats LSU in 2020. That team ends up losing 6 games. When's the last time they had an upset that they could look back at the end of the season and say, we really beat a good team? It's been a long time. And then we've talked about they've missed the big year. In the last two chances they've had to have a big season, they've missed out on that. And it's just been tough. It's been tough. So I understand the trepidation. Don't know what the crowd's going to look like this weekend. Can't imagine it's going to be too big. You got all this weather about to happen around here. You do have the Hardy concert moved to Friday, so that's, for State, that's good because that might keep some people over an extra day that might have just been planning to come up on Thursday and leave. I don't know, but we'll see. I just feel like Mississippi State fans, they desperately need some good news. They need that game next week against Florida. They need to win this game, and Mississippi State needs that game against Florida. We'll talk a lot more about that next week. Alex, I have a topic that I want to get into with that. But that's for
even if you go on a losing streak after that, just having a little bit of momentum for a little bit is going to go a long way. Just a little bit of a positive vibe around the football program, something you can build on, and then see what happens from there.
Yeah. All right. We'll do tomorrow's show. You know what it is, the 3 Ps, brought to you by our friends at Sanders Realty. And we will be previewing Mississippi State versus Toledo on tomorrow's show. Guys, have a great Thursday. Robbie and I'll be back with you on Friday. For Robbie Faulk, I'm Brian Hadad. Thanks for listening to Thunder and Lightning here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
On this day, I see clearly everything has come to life. A better place
SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.